Welcome to the part 12 of our tutorial, and let's open the part 12 modeling hair.max. And previously in part 11, we just created the eyelashes, eyes, and eyebrows, and I applied a material shader into these objects. And now, as you can see here in the title, we're gonna focus on creating the hair object. Okay, and let's right click in here and create another layer, and make sure that the icon beside this layer is highlighted in blue, so that every time we create an object in our working space, it will instantly put those objects under this layer. Okay, double click that layer to give it some name, and let's give it a hair. Okay, and let's open the I'm gonna close off this one and turn on this 3D snap, and right click on it and uncheck everything except for the face. Okay, and close. And here in a create tab, let's go to shapes and click this line. Okay, and now the reason why I turn on this 3D snap is I want to lay down this line object along with the surface of this forehead. Okay, so to start, I'm gonna press F3 so that we can see the process that I'm going to show in here. Okay, so let's just do a single click each time. Single click, single click, single click, single click, single click, single click, and hover your mouse cursor over the other endpoint of this line. And yes, okay, and turn off this button and this one as well. And let's just press F3 once more and isolate selection, and you can see here now that there are no physical physical form on it. And I'm gonna right click this mouse cursor to deactivate this button. Okay, and to give it some, let's go to modify tab and apply an edit poly modifier, and it's gonna give a surface. Okay, and I'm gonna minimize this, double click that one. Okay, and isolate selection. Okay, and we can barely see the object because it currently interpenetrates into the surface of our character. So we're gonna lift that up a bit using the conform brush. So let's go in here, freeform, using this conform brush. But before using that tool, we have to set a drawing surface first. Here in grid, let's click this arrow drop down list and choose a draw on surface. Okay, because I want to draw on the surface of this head, and click use this pick button to pick the character. And now you can see here that the character is already applied as a drawing surface. And now I can use this conform brush and brush over the surface of our selected object. But before doing that, let's give an offset of a value of 0.2. And as we brush onto our object, it's gonna lift up the surface into a value of 0.2. All right, and now you can also use this drag tool and drag those corners. Okay, and give it a nice shape, right? And deactivate this button, and I'm gonna change the color code for this object into a gray color and press OK. And now let's press let's turn on the wireframe for this selected object. Okay, let's go in here, shaded, display selected, and display selected with edge faces, and it's gonna bring up the wireframe for this object. And if you press F4, if you are currently showing the other wireframe, you can press F4 to hide those other wireframe. Okay, and now let's turn on the border mode so that we can be able to select the border, and make sure that you are using a move tool and change the move tool into a screen coordinate system so that it would always faces towards our camera, and hold the shift button on our keyboard while dragging this move tool, and it's gonna add additional surface for our object. And of course we have to manipulate it manually. Okay, and before proceeding into furtherly adding some more extrusion into our object, uh, let's just look up closer into here, and we can see here now that there are some distance between this skin and our object in here. I don't want to see that hole in this area. Okay, so I have to also uh, uh, make some interpenetration between this skin and the hair. So let's isolate the selection mode. Okay, and I'm gonna delete this surface. Let's go on to polygon surface so that we can select this one and delete that one, and go ahead, go back to border mode and select the border and exit isolate selection. Press F3 so that we can see through the object, and let's extrude that border. Okay, and that fixes the holes at this place. Okay, and uh, okay, let's go on to polygon mode and press Ctrl A on your keyboard, and it's gonna select all of these faces. And as we can see here that the outer surface turns into a dark red color, while the inner surface has a much brighter red color. It means that these surfaces are facing inward, so you have to flip it reverse. So right click and flip normals. Okay, and let's now continue extruding this thing. Okay, so I already want to give it a much longer measurement, much longer sizes. Okay, so you have to extrude this border up into in this point, and using the scale tool you have to scale it down all the way into a zero value, of course, and we have to add some more additional segments in here. So let's go into modeling tool, and we have here a swift lock tool. Click that one and click onto the surface. Okay, and let's do it once more at the other part of this object. Okay, and right click to neutralize the mouse button. Okay, and let's head back to freeform, and I'm gonna use the shift brush, and using that shift brush you have to hold the control key on your keyboard and drag your left mouse button, and gonna change the size of our brush size. Okay, and to adjust the size of the center circle, you have to hold the shift key on your keyboard and drag your left mouse button. Okay, and now let's start to give it some dynamic movement into our object by brushing it. Okay, and of course you may now use some of this brush tool we have here a shift rotate, and I'm gonna rotate in here, and you have to shift between these two. All right, and now I also want to introduce this shift scale tool. Okay, shift scale tool. It basically scale the area where you are brushing. Okay, or you may also do this one. Give it your brush this size, and uh, scale those edges one by one. Okay, and now that's the basic of creating the hair, and you just have to flood this all over these areas with this thing until you are completely finished modeling the hair. But before ending this video, let's try creating once more. So let's exit our edit in here, click this layer, or click this one, and it's gonna turn off our editing. Okay, and press W on your keyboard, shortcut key for move tool, and make sure that you're still in a screen mode. And if you are in a view mode, just go in here and click the screen. Okay, and let's just duplicate this object, and hold the shift key on your keyboard while moving this object, and press copy. Okay, and this time I'm gonna make a much bigger size for this object. Okay, and so also, of course, don't forget to rearrange your clone object. And now let's turn on this element mode, so that we can be able to select the whole element and manually scale it up. Okay, and arrange. And now let's turn off this one first, and use the shift brush again, and I want to stretch this more into this direction. Okay, and of course go to modeling tool. Let's add some more segments into it. All right, and deactivate that tool, and you can see here now that we also have a set flow tool. You won't be able to see this tool if you are in the other editing mode. So you have to go into edge mode first before seeing this tool. So what it does is, if you select this a particular segments, just click on this set flow, and it gonna instantly give our object a nice form and flow. Okay, double click, set flow, double click, and set flow. Okay, and you may want also to scale it up a bit. So you go back to freeform, and I'm gonna use the shift scale tool, and one by one scale it up. Alright, and go back to modeling and reselect those, reapply a swift loop, double click, swift loop, sorry, set flow. Okay, right, and now if you are done making giving it a much giving it a longer sizes. You may now start to brush and give it a different form. Right, and let's assume that we are already satisfied with this result. And next, I'm gonna make a much thinner version for this for our hair. And let's duplicate this object. Hold the shift key on your keyboard and while moving, and press copy and OK. And let's turn on this polygon mode and select everything. And let's go in here, and we have here a relax button. So I'm gonna click this a few more times until we achieve a thinner sizes for this object. And I'm gonna isolate my selection, and you may see that uh, upon pressing the relax button, this area doesn't follow onto our uh, it doesn't follow this relax tool, so you have to manually uh, edit those thing. So I'm just using now shortcut key number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 you in your keyboard. Okay, right. And I'm gonna go to edit polygon mode, select this one and grow. Okay, and exit isolate selection, and uh, go to wireframe by pressing the F3, and of course manually move this one. Grow, 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 and press I think a shrink, shrink. Okay, and press F3, and that's it. And rearrange the put it into a right place, and give it some a different form by using this shift. Right. Okay, so I'm not going to repeat this process, because it's just gonna be the same for the other objects. Okay, and you have just to continue filling this up and this entire sculpt with this object, and keep on brushing and hairstyling until you are satisfied with the result. And now let's assume that we are already finished creating the entire hair, and the next thing that we need to do is select everything. Okay, I'm currently lock dust selection by pressing the space tab on your keyboard. Okay, unlock your selection so that you can be able to select the other objects, select everything, and apply a turbo smooth into it. Okay, and it gonna gives our object a smoother appearance, and you may want to increase the iteration in it, and it gonna turn it into a much smoother surface. Okay, and I just want to give you some important thing that you are that you that you must be aware of. So I'm gonna select one of these object. Okay, deselect everything, and I'm gonna select this one and press F4 to see the other wireframe. And every time you do changes in this turbo smooth, so for example, I'm gonna set it into 0. As you can see here, that it also happens into your other objects. It's because that you applied an instant copy of turbo smooth by selecting it all, and simultaneously apply a turbo smooth on all of these object. Okay, so you have to be aware of that. Okay, so uh, to avoid that thing from happening, you may want to add a different turbo smooth modifier into this object. For example, I'm gonna delete this turbo smooth modifier and apply a different turbo smooth modifier into my object, and so that I can be able to edit this object without affecting the other object. Okay, all right. And if you want to put back the original turbo smooth modifier into this object, just delete this one and select this one and right click into it and copy, and select this one and paste it as instance. Okay, and it will it will gonna turn back our original settings. Okay, and of course we are now ready to apply a material shader into this hair. Okay, so let's press letter M on our keyboard, or just click this icon, okay, to bring this material editor. And we can see here now that I already have a material shader that I already applied to the eyelashes and eyebrows. So select everything in here, and you may click and drag over the uh, selected objects and assign to selection, or you may also click this assign material to selection. Okay, and that's it. And we are now complete discussing the topic for this video. And in the next video, I promise that I already have this here finished, and we will now proceed creating the lights, cameras, and add some global illumination to our scene. And it will be basically we will be trying to create an initial render for this for our character. And of course, I almost forgot to apply a material shader for our skin. So I'm gonna show you the example before ending this video. Let's bring back the material editor, and here in material slot, I want to show you the material shader for this skin. Okay, and of course it has already a texture, but currently it is set into a standard material shader, and I don't want to use this standard material shader, and we are going to change this into a subsurface scattering material shader. And of course I am going to include that process in the next video as well. Okay, so that's it, and see you in the next video.